tillsammans med Stockholms universitet, Dr. Mukwege och stiftelsen Jenenga Progress, som handlar om att utbilda så kallade barfotapsykologer, det vill säga sjukvårdspersonal i otillgängliga trakter, i manualbaserad terapi för posttraumatisk stresssyndrom. Och de här barfotapsykologerna, de har sin manual och de blir handledda och coachade då via smartphones. Så vår del i det här är dels att vi bidrar med en del finansiering, men också med att översätta psykiatriska skattningsskalet till franska, och vi upplåter vår plattform till det här. Och om ni är intresserade av CSR-projekt, jag kan tänka mig att många av er har både engagemanget och know-how för att bidra med olika typer av projekt, så får ni gärna prata med Stina Berger från Jenenga Progress som sitter här, som är projektledare och distributör av den här typen av CSR-projekt. För att närma oss dagens tema så fick ni fylla i en quick poll innan ni kom hit idag. Och nästan alla fyllde i. Det tackar vi för. Den första frågan här var: brukar du kolla upp kandidater i dina rekryteringsprocesser på Facebook? Ja, regelmässigt. Ja, ibland. Någon enstaka gång. Nej, aldrig. Eller bara då 34% som svarar. Och när det gäller googla kandidater, då är det bara 15% av er som svarar att ni aldrig googlar kandidater. Då. Vilket gör det lite intressant, och flytta över till den sista frågan då. Som var: tänker du själv på hur du framställer dig på Facebook? Det var bara 42,4% som var noga med att göra ett professionellt intryck på Facebook. Så kan vi kanske lite dra slutsatsen här att vi googlar alla varandra, tittar på varandra på Facebook. Men vi bryr oss inte så där jättemycket om själva hur vi framstår där. Möjligtvis så kommer den siffran att stiga lite efter det här seminariet som ni ska få höra nu. Eller vad tror du om det, Jakob?
Ja, det kan stämma.
Ja. Vill du ta över den här?
Yes.
Ska vi se. Den här ska du...
Så. Bra. Jag tänkte bara lite kort presentera mig själv då. I'll switch over to English now. So, we're happy to introduce Michal Kosinski and welcome him here to Stockholm. So, during the last few weeks, I know that Michal has been working out of China, and that the next trip will be to Brazil. So, we're glad to be able to offer him some jet lag relief with a pit stop here in Stockholm. So Michal works as a director at the Psychometric Center at Cambridge University, which is one of the most prominent institutions in the field of psychological research today. His main research focus is the intersection of internet and psychology. And his work is funded by the Boeing company, the airline company, in order to further understand the role of social media in the corporate environments. He has published scientific articles concerning subjects as personality and patterns of Facebook usage, personality and website choice, or can well-being be measured using Facebook status updates? That's an interesting one. So Michal's office is in the same building complex where Watson and Crick discovered DNA some 50 years ago. And we don't know yet if Michael's work on psychology and internet is going to be as revolutionary as the discovery of DNA. It might be, who knows? But that there's something important happening here on this front, which will most probably have a profound impact on how we work with psychological assessment and recruitment. This I think we can all agree upon. So it's a great pleasure to have you here, Michal, and I'll leave over to you now.
Thank you. Thanks. Oh, actually, I have the other one. I did it. Sorry. I hope you survived that. So good morning, everyone. Oh, that was nice. It never happens in other countries. It's super nice. So can you guys hear me there at the back? I'm not using a microphone. This is just a fake one. So I hope you can hear me there. let's check if my presentation works. When I was first invited here, I was told that this is a breakfast seminar, and I imagined that it's more like 15 people sitting around the table and eating breakfast. So I'm very surprised, very positively surprised that you guys eat breakfasts in such a huge groups. Okay, and I was invited here today to speak about the future of the job markets, or of the job market, because the job market is becoming much more global, and maybe one day we'll have to stop speaking about job markets and start speaking about job markets. But then let me start with the introduction to the other market that has recently changed a lot, and this is a retail market. And I give you one example here of the technology that seriously affected retail market, but of course this is just one of many. Think about Alibaba.com, think about Amazon, think about all the other information age markets that completely change the face of retail. So in the past, retail market was very much face-to-face business. You were buying stuff locally because you knew where to buy stuff from in your vicinity. You had a very limited access to information about the prices. You didn't know how much the same things cost in the other places. You couldn't trust people that were living far away from you, simply because if something bad happened, then, well, it was a problem to kind of get the thing repaired or replaced. Moreover, it was very difficult in the past to check the reputation of the people that were living far away from you. Moreover, this limited information age was also affecting the prices you had to pay. Very often retailers, well, retail chains were usually very, very long, and you had to pay a huge premium when you were buying stuff. You couldn't compare the prices between different sellers simply because you could only buy locally. And then the information age, the information technologies and platforms like eBay seriously changed this pattern. So nowadays, you can access the information about the offered products or offered services from all around the world. Moreover, you are free to buy this stuff and those services from all around the world, and this has become possible because and thanks to reputation mechanisms. Now you can trust perfect strangers simply because thousands of other people trusted them and thousands of other people said, this guy is a reliable person. It changes the rules of the game tremendously. Retail chain shortened a lot. Many people lost their jobs, but the economy at large got much more efficient, and you can buy things for much lower price. Moreover, I think that actually the reputation mechanism that is present on platforms like eBay is as good as the reputation mechanisms that we had in a very far past, in the beginnings of trade and retail, where people were selling and buying stuff locally in their own village, the village that had 150 people, maybe 100. You knew everyone. If someone misbehaved, if someone behaved in an unreliable fashion, everyone in his social circle, every customer of his would immediately know it. So basically, you couldn't behave in an unreliable way. If you think about Tesco's or any other big store, and no offense, I don't pick up Tesco's because I love Tesco's, I buy at Tesco's. But then if they mistreat one customer, it doesn't really matter for them so much. They lose this one customer, but at large, the business is not affected. If you think about markets like eBay, if you are a retailer here and you mistreat one customer, you will get a negative comment. And we all know that if you got a negative comment on eBay or a negative comment on Amazon or on the similar markets, your business is severely affected. It's why those retailers that fight for each customer and make sure that they are happy. And they go really a long way. I'm not sure if you ever actually had a dispute with the seller on eBay, but they really go a long way to make sure that you are happy. And why am I talking about it? I'm talking about it because I think that the job market very soon will become very much like retail markets. It's not yet there. Job market is much more complicated. Buying someone's time or selling your own time when you work for someone is more complicated than buying and selling cameras or computers or laptops. But the same technologies and the same paradigms are at work when it comes to job market. First of all, we have a global access to information, both about potential employees and potential employers. Second of all, we have nascent reputation mechanisms, and I will talk a bit more about it in the future. And finally, because you have a global access to information, you can compare how much you could get in other jobs with how much you're getting at the moment. The price of work is also getting optimized. This exchange is also finding its equilibrium. What the effect will be of those changes? Well, I think it will be profound, but let me show you this a bit later. So I just wanted to show you two examples of the technologies that are enabling global access to information. So I guess all of you guys know Monster, and probably most of you know LinkedIn as well. This provides both employers and employees with a very nice and unparalleled in the past access to information about available jobs. LinkedIn actually is also venturing into reputation business. I'm sure you've heard about endorsements on LinkedIn. You can basically ask your ex-employers to give you an endorsement, which can tremendously help in the recruitment process, where you can compare the list of actual positions of the individual and then see whether each of the bosses gave a positive endorsement. But there are other markets, other job markets, that are even more similar to what's happening on the retail market. Amazon Mechanical Turk is one very good example. This is an example of a crowdsourcing platform. So here the jobs are very, very small. Usually they would take, you hire people for 60 seconds, maybe for 5 minutes. The salaries are also very low. You pay anything between 1 cent for those 60 seconds and few dollars. But the system works very much like eBay. You have so-called requesters, those are the guys here, and who can put up tasks on Mechanical Turk and request solutions. And you have workers, they're actually called workers, I guess it's written somewhere here, that can accept those tasks and solve the problems for the offered price. And let me show you how it looks inside. So when you are a worker, you basically will see a list of 287,000 potential little jobs that you can take. And this is an example of 2 of those jobs. You can color tag images for search and compare 2 images. This system originated at Amazon, and it was originally used to solve the problems that were difficult to solve using machine learning approaches. So they treated this as a kind of a human computer, a human processor. It's why they call those little tasks human intelligence tasks. And they used it in the beginning in Amazon to label pictures, but they very quickly realized that it's not only them who has this problem, that there are some tasks that are very difficult to be solved by the computer, where humans can kind of come and help. And now this platform is public, and everyone can use it. And it's not only simple tasks like that. It's also translating pieces of text, writing short press articles, and so on. So those guys, they were not HR specialists. They do not come from LinkedIn or HR universe. They are software engineers. And they, in a way, by accident, created a job market of the future, I would say. So I want to convince you today that in few years, the entire job market would look like that. Price optimization mechanism here also works very nice. So you don't really have an auction, so you cannot kind of beat prices. But because you have so many tasks on the system, you have to offer the price that is attractive to workers. Otherwise, they will not take your task. It's very similar to eBay. In the beginning, they had to offer auctions. So when you were selling something, you're saying, okay, let's kind of auction, let's bid who will pay more. But nowadays, actually, auctions are very unpopular on eBay. Why? Because the whole eBay become one huge auction. So basically, because people are selling the same things, if you want to post your offer, you have to look at how much the given thing goes and offer the same or slightly lower price. So we can kind of have a huge ongoing auction price optimization mechanism. The same happens here. Also, you have a reputation mechanism. Once I accepted this hit and I returned the solution, afterwards, the requester, the person that asked me to do the job, can say whether I performed well or not. And then, of course, if few people would say that you didn't perform well, no one will want to hire in the future, right? They will say, I don't want people who have acceptance rate below 97%. And then, of course, the additional advantage of markets like that, because the interaction, the job is very short, and usually it's actually also very cheap. You can request multiple solutions to each of the tasks. And then the question, of course, is how reliable a platform like that can be. And again, I'm going here only to show you that if this technology flies, and if we observe that the job markets at large are moving in this direction, the question is whether this actually will work, whether we can trust perfect strangers. Requested and never see the workers. And very often then they ask them for the solutions that would affect the business. They ask them to label images that later are used to show to the customers. If those anonymous workers coming from all around the world make a mistake, the company loses face. And the company only pays 1 cent for the solution, right? So on the surface, it looks like this system shouldn't be very reliable. And we wanted to test it, and we also wanted to check whether this system can solve and advance cognitive problems. So what we did, we asked the system to solve an IQ test. And I will not go here into the details. There's actually 3 or 4 papers, some of them published, some of them coming up, describing how well Mechanical Turk performed, and also giving some details about and advice how to configure Mechanical Turk to get the best out of it. But what you can see here, you can see a comparison of an IQ score of Mechanical Turk platform, and you can see here just the people in the lab. So people you can hire in traditional way. Why those both lines go up? Because we're aggregating the scores. So we said we're interested in kind of a crowd solution to the IQ test, right? So we, instead of just taking one solution to the IQ test, then we took the other solution and so on, and tried to figure out what's the final solution for the IQ test of the entire crowd. So it's not on the individual level. Though actually it's on the individual level here, when we have only one worker or one person solving an IQ test. So of course, if you have one person solving an IQ test, IQ is around 100. This is the definition of IQ. But surprise, if you ask a crowd of people who are being paid 1 cent for the solution, if you ask them to provide you with a solution to IQ test, the average IQ would be 115. Maybe only intelligent people go on crowdsourcing platforms. No, those people are actually, the distribution of IQ is perfectly normal. It is just that the rules that are on this eBay style job market are completely different. People are self-selected for the job, right? I'm not forcing you like I was forcing, in a way, those guys take an IQ test. They had a choice to take it or not to take it. Moreover, there is a reputation system. Those people, if they get the answer wrong, they would just get the feedback that maybe is not as good as it could be. Those guys, if they get the question wrong, if they get the answer wrong, they will be severely punished. They will lose their reputation. Well, we actually never hurt a Mechanical Turk worker, but we're telling them that if they will give us a wrong answer, we'll hurt them. You can see, if you take actually 20 solutions, the IQ flies very, very high. This is the level of that can be achieved by less than 1% of people in a population. Also, you can see that you don't really have to pay much. I'll skim it quickly through, but you can see that the maximum performance, here the blue bar shows the average IQ, is at 5 cents per solution, so it's not much. And actually, by paying more, you are affecting performance, which is actually works on the traditional job markets as well. Sometimes you can kill a very good employee by overpaying him or her. And finally, we looked at the comparison between intelligence of the crowd and intelligence of the smartest individual. And you can also see that the crowd is always smarter than the smartest individual. But then some people would say, okay, those new kinds of approaches, those new information kind of approaches, crowdsourcing technologies, they're good only for simple tasks when you do not have to create anything creative or large. But I would say I would disagree. I would say look at Wikipedia. Wikipedia is an example of job market of the future. It's just that the salaries are very low because salaries are close to zero. But look, they kind of adjusted themselves to this level. No one forces those people to work, and they do really work, for close to nothing. And of course, they also have a reputation system here, like on Mechanical Turk. You start as an anonymous contributor. Everyone can revert your changes. Then if you made many good contributions, the system will start trusting you. And then you're actually gaining some extra powers, some administrator powers. You can revert changes made by other people. And I specifically chose the subject of Palestinian territories because it's very difficult to find a kind of a golden solution to write an article like that. There's a lot of politics behind it, a lot of agendas and so on. It would be very difficult to create an encyclopedia entry of this kind. And the crowd of anonymous people with a properly designed reputation system can do it very successfully. And it's doing it continuously because you can see here, it's a print screen taken 2 days ago or 3 days ago. Every day you will have something happening here. People keep working on this job market here. Okay, so let me now tell you something, elaborate on why I believe this is a tremendous change for how we should be thinking about job markets. So first of all, job market of the future, the job market that is an eBay-style job market, will allow for shorter engagements. Today, when you hire people, you hire them usually for a relatively long time, for months at least. Why? Because it's expensive to hire people, right? Why is it expensive to hire people? Because you don't know much about them. You have to go through thousands of applications. You have to test those guys. And also, you have to ascertain that they are reliable. And very often, you're wrong. Very often, you think the guy is reliable and he is matched for job, but he is not. It's the same on the other side of the game. You guys are recruiters, I assume, most of you, or HR specialists. But people who are applying for jobs, they also have to spend a lot of time. They have a tremendous investment, putting tremendous investment into looking for jobs. They have to apply. My friends who are finishing Cambridge University, they have to apply to 150 places to find a job. It's an enormous amount of work. It takes them months to go through it. It's why once they actually finally started the relationship with one company, they will stay there. And for many reasons, it is really, really bad that they stay there. And some of those reasons are very easily explainable. So for instance, when you think about jobs, some of the things we do at work we like, some other things we would prefer someone else to deal with them. But because we're already hired, we don't really have a choice. We cannot, like Mechanical Turk workers do, select kind of only the tasks they like. And then the tasks that no one likes, they have to be, priced higher, and then finally someone will like them because maybe they pay a lot. Right? So there's much better, if you have a shorter engagement, there's a much better match between what you want to do and what you're actually doing. Moreover, very often you would have people overqualified for the positions that simply do not go higher because it takes such a tremendous amount of time to go up, to look for the other job. Or you have people bored with their positions. They would also like to change the job, but it's so much work that they will not do it. On eBay-style job market, you have a reputation system, like on eBay. You can hire people without trying to get to know them better because you have their acceptance rate, like on Mechanical Turk. You know, in last 5 years, they dealt with 2,000 different tasks, and their acceptance rate, satisfaction rate was 98%. Moreover, people are reluctant to change jobs because people are risk aversive. So if I found my job, you know, I'm sitting there, I'm not trying to change anything because maybe if I lose this job, I will not have anything better. On eBay kind of style market, like Mechanical Turk, you have a steady flow of tasks. You can see there are 200,087 tasks available that may be of your interest, right? So you don't have this risk aversion because you know the tasks are lining up there. Of course, I presented it from the perspective of the employee, but the employer has exactly the same advantages. Why would you ask this guy to do something that he's not really so perfectly happy to